There's a fiscal year 18 capital interfund transfer.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm withdrawing that because of your request to only do 4 benches and not the leash post. I do not need that money for now, so we can leave it where it is. I'm going to
Okay.
withdraw that.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. All right, moving forward, we go to what had been agenda item number 3, emergency operation plan for consideration.
I'm tired of talking. All right, can you
Time to shine.
the PowerPoint up for me, please? In your packet, you have a copy of the emergency operations plan. And what sparked this were, it's kind of twofold, threefold. As all of you know, you attended the summer conference, the fall conference. There's a press to make sure your emergency operations plans are up to date. Find my notes here. There's my clicker. So in September of 2017, we received from Frederick County a program that they have started is the Frederick County Municipal Readiness Program. The purpose of their program is to help municipalities increase their emergency mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery capabilities. It's a voluntary program. What it does is it establishes a partnership between your municipality and the county. And basically what it is to make sure municipalities are prepared in case of an emergency. And we're talking about man-made emergencies, natural disasters, terrorists, active shooters, any type of emergency, a flu epidemic, things of that nature, to make sure that we're prepared. For a municipality to participate in the Frederick County Readiness Program, you need to have an emergency management plan, you need emergency training, and a hazard identification and risk analysis. So the first step in this program is to adopt an emergency operations plan. So I had Ms. Shaw go back and find our emergency operations plan. Unfortunately, we had not adopted a plan. We have a plan, but it has not been adopted in many years. And it is required to be formally adopted every 4 years and reviewed by your town manager yearly. Okay, so some of those things have not been done, but we're going to take care of that now and maintain compliance then from here on out. So the purpose of your emergency operations plan is to define the actions to be taken by the town of Emmitsburg, Emmitsburg's officials in coordination. Again, it's a partnership with Frederick County, State of Maryland, federal agencies, and other non-government organizations in the event of a significant disaster or emergency within the corporate limits of Emmitsburg. So what this plan does, it works in conjunction with the Frederick County Emergency Operations Plan. It establishes the overall roles and responsibility for town emergency operations, and it's used in conjunction with already established operational procedures, plans, and protocols. This operations plan is used by all municipalities. Every municipality has a very similar municipality plan or emergency operations plan. This was a template provided by the county. Each municipality then tailors it to what they need. Try to go through this. What's an emergency situation? Any large-scale emergency disaster or planned activity that results in implementation of the Incident Command System or Emergency Operations Center. It allows you to control and command activities. Tornadoes, tropical storms, severe thunderstorms, influenza outbreak, large public gatherings or festivals, snowstorms, possible emergency events to prepare for. Those are all weather related, all of which we have experienced in the town of Emmitsburg. For example, we all remember the Ellicott City flooding. The town itself, the city of itself, $22.4 million worth of damage, 2 fatalities. It displaced 200 residents. They had a loss of economic activity, and some of their businesses they were just unable to build. things that the town of Emmitsburg should prepare for, something that we need to remember and something this plan wants everybody to realize that we are the first line of defense. We are responsible for any disaster that occurs in this town. Our main responsibility is saving lives and minimizing damage. One thing they can ingrain in your mind is the incident here happens here. You're in control. It's your town. Things we need to think about is our town infrastructure, water and sewer main breaks, the dam break. We already have a hazard plan for the dam break that we do work with the county, and it is updated yearly, and we are in compliance. Hazardous material spills on 15, any terrorism attacks, anything that happens in DC affects us. Active shooters, unfortunately, that can happen anywhere. Chemical spills, what are you going to, think about the things that if you have a chemical spill on 15 or a truck that comes through town on 140, evacuation, detours, road closures, contamination, shelters, medical. For most emergency disasters, Vigilant Hose Company is your first responder, and they will implement incident command. We're fortunate to have the fire department right here in our town, and an outstanding emergency operations at that. Town residents and businesses can expect to use their own resources and be self-sufficient for at least 3 days following a significant disaster event. Upon request, the county, state, or federal government will provide outside assistance if we are overwhelmed. So the concept of operations for a minor disaster. The main objective is to protect public health and safety and preserve public and private property. Our first on the scene is going to be your Vigilant Hose Company and your local law enforcement officers. They will activate the incident command system The town will respond with supplies and equipment. If need be, there will be a command post here that the town initiates. The county will respond with supplies, equipment once town's resources are exceeded. The town manager or designee will direct all requests for assistance that cannot be addressed through mutual aid to the county. This is what a command system, an incident command looks like. It's all broken out so you have your command post. Somebody's in charge of your operations, somebody's in planning, your logistics, your finance, and your intelligence. One person is in charge of all of that. That's your incident commander. More than likely, that's going to be your law enforcement or your fire and rescue. For procedures for major disasters, the town will, in addition to an incident command center, the town will activate its own command center here at the office if we are able to. The alternate location would be Vigilant Hose Company, whether that's in town or at the facility on Creamery Road. The responsibility for the town command center is basically to provide resource support to the operations. We're required to issue public warnings, issuing instructions and providing information to the general public, help organize large-scale evacuations, coordinate with the county, coordinate traffic control with your law enforcement, request assistance from the county, state, and other external resources. I just threw some examples of other disasters that have occurred to municipalities. The La Plata tornado in 2002, where 5 people were killed. They had $100 million in damage. 27 separate jurisdictions sent help. In this case, the water tower was damaged. The town's water system was drained, and there was no water in the fire hydrants. So those are the things you have to think of about your backup plan, where you get your water from, how do you get water to the fire department to help if there's no water in your fire hydrants. Emergency declarations, a state of emergency. A local declaration, a declaration may be made by the mayor that activates the emergency operation plans and provides for the mobilization of town resources. The mayor may activate the emergency operations plan for 7 days, up to 7 days only. After 7 days, you as the board must approve anything more than that for the emergency operations plan to be in effect. Once all emergency activities are complete, the mayor and board of commissioners will take action to terminate the declared emergency, probably by a vote, if it's gone more than the 7 days that you require a revote. We'll just go over this part real quickly. Phases of emergency management is mitigation. That's where your staff comes in, and we try to figure out how we can mitigate or lessen hazards and impacts of hazards. Being prepared, the response, how we will respond to emergency situations, and then how the town will carry out a recovery program, short-term and long-term efforts. The mayor's responsibilities. Establish objectives and priorities, serve as chief spokesperson for the town, confer with the town manager, coordinate with other elected officials, order evacuations and implement this plan, keep the public informed, declare a state of emergency where you have to request the governor for that, request assistance from local governments when necessary, and overall responsibility for plans, operations for disasters, and assistance. The Board of Commissioner responsibilities: monitor the emergency emergency response, provide direction where appropriate. This one is key. Ensure funds are available to support emergency operations, which will probably require impromptu meetings to vote on the approval of funds. Communicate with the public and provide guidance. Vote to extend a local emergency declaration beyond the 7 days. Host community meetings to ensure needs are being met. Enact emergency ordinances and promulgate the codes, regulations, and ordinances of the town, and provide the funds required to implement and enforce mitigation programs. Town manager may also activate the town emergency operations plan, provide direction and control of town departments, serve as the town command center manager, direct and reallocate assets and resources, serve as the lead for the town in managing recovery, provide all staff and resources to support emergency operations, and provide facilities for staging areas. Then we go through what your public works is responsible for. They provide, this is basically your public works is your first line. They are pretty much responsible for anything, all the disasters that happen in the town. They provide the personnel, equipment, and supplies. They develop and maintain emergency operation plans and operating guidelines for emergency tasks. We currently are working with our water and sewer department to develop our emergency operation procedures for any emergency situations. It's something Ms. Shaw and myself are working on. We hope to have that completed in the next couple of months. Repair roads and traffic control systems, provide support, manage snow and debris removal, provide support for evacuations.
Could you back up for a second? FSCO?
Frederick County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sewer and water superintendent responsibilities, again, here's where we are working on our operation procedures, conduct damage assessments, repair and restore town water and sewer, provide emergency water supply, ensure the continued supply of potable water, ensure continuous wastewater collection services, and work with the county health department on any warnings. Planning and zoning, they essentially assist with damage assessment operations, make sure any rebuilding complies with our zoning, and issue the appropriate permits. The town attorney also plays into your emergency operation plan, confer on any legal responsibilities, any emergency ordinances. He would be responsible for preparing our local declarations if needed, any other emergency things. Another example would be your blizzards, things to take into consideration. And these things here, as you highlight the possible disasters, are things that staff has to think of as your mitigation. You know, how do you mitigate power outages? Who are your contacts? road closures, how do you get emergency services through, what roads do you need to open up immediately, how do people get food and gas. A water main break, things that you have to consider is your flooding, your damaged property, loss of service, how does EMS and fire service get water to as they need for their operations, any displaced residents and the financial burden on the town. Direction and control. The mayor, assisted by town manager, is responsible for establishing objectives, policies, and providing general guidance for response and recovery. Town manager provides overall direction. Town command center is mentioned. The incident command, assisted by staff, will manage the emergency response at an incident site. So your town command center and your incident commander command center at two different locations. Your town command center, like I mentioned before, would be here. Alternate would be Vigilant Hose. It can be activated either by the mayor or town manager. Again, there are the list of responsibilities at the town command center. Continuity of government. Government must go on, as we all know, in the event of the death or injury of the mayor. This is the line of succession. So you have the mayor. If something were to happen to the mayor, he's unable to participate in the efforts. The president of the Board of Commissioners, Commissioner O'Donnell, would be first line of succession, and then your vice president, Commissioner Sweeney, would be in the second line of succession. In the event of the death or injury of the town manager, the director of public works would be first in line, followed by your superintendent of your water and sewer systems. Evacuation. To provide for the orderly and coordinated evacuation of all or any part of the population of the town if deemed necessary. Maryland law, which I found this very interesting, Maryland law does not authorize state or local officials to issue a mandatory evacuation. Only a recommendation can be made. The mayor or designee can only recommend an evacuation. However, the mayor can prevent re-entry into a stricken area. If evacuation is recommended, Frederick County Sheriff's Office will oversee evacuation movements. Administration and support. The town is responsible for providing accountability and justification of the funds. All departments need to maintain records summarizing their costs. A detailed record needs to include your personnel costs, your equipment operation costs, costs for leased or rented equipment, costs for contract services to support emergency operations, and your cost of specialized supplies expended for emergency operations. What also comes into play, in particular in this area with all the costs, is your mutual aid agreements that we have with other municipalities and with the county that will help minimize these costs if you can utilize their services. If there is an event, you are required to have a post-incident and exercise review. The mayor will conduct a critique review with verbal and written input from all the participants, everybody that was involved in the incident. Deficiencies will be identified, and departments and personnel will be assigned deficiencies to correct with a due date, which is how we were going through this and found that we needed our emergency operation procedures for the water and wastewater treatment plant. Plan development and maintenance. For your emergency operation plan, the town manager is responsible for the overall development and completion of the town's emergency operation plan, determining an annual review of the plan, determining the distribution of the plan, and distributing all revised, updated documents to all necessary departments, agencies, and individuals. The mayor is responsible for approving and promulgating the plans. This plan and its annexes must be reviewed annually by local officials and formally adopted every 4 years. And it is updated based on the deficiencies identified during actual emergency situations or government structure changes. So if you go through your, just the emergency operations plan, in the back of it, you'll see who, find the page numbers. This was just a quick overview of it. If you go back to the appendices, which start on
33. 33. you said.
33?
That's 4. Yes, the appendix 4, excuse me.
I have EOP 28 for Appendix 1.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So EOP 28, this is your distribution list. This is who all should have a copy of it. Once this is formally adopted and signed, it's adopted by the board and signed by the mayor and the town manager. You each will get a copy of the emergency operations plan, and then we have to provide copies of it to all the listed parties here. And then on EOP 29 is the updated contact list. It has all your names, your title, office, home, and any cell phone numbers. EOP page 30, 31, 32 outlines everybody's responsibility. So if you do have a question of responsibility, it's listed there. On EOP 33, it lists the assignments. So if you're ever wondering who's responsible for something under the emergency operation plan, it's listed here. So like for for an evacuation, it's our Public Works Division that works with law enforcement. Hazardous materials and oil spill would be the Division of Fire and Rescue. So that delineates who's responsible for what. Questions? Sweating. Again, this is a template that's used by all municipalities. It's just tailored to what, to the town's needs.
So once this is approved, we'll get a copy?
Yes.
Could I make a request that we get 2 copies? And the reason is that we could keep one in our car and one in our home. Does that make sense?
Something happens, yeah.
So, I mean, granted, you know, I don't want to be a doomsayer, but it wouldn't hurt.
Things like that do
you know?
happen.
So,
Yes.
it's like your emergency folder
Yep.
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I totally
There's no
agree,
reason.
man. I get
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Very good.
And once this is adopted, then we will start working on, we have to finish our emergency operation procedures for the water and wastewater treatment plant. We will work towards becoming our participant in the Frederick County Municipal Emergency Readiness Program.
We have a question related to EOP 33 from Commissioner Buckman, trying to identify the individuals connected to the job titles. Is that right?
Well, I mean.
They're all county.
Oh,
Most of
okay.
these are county, so I don't know their names.
That's
I see.
So I would say it's probably best not to put the names in there because they could change.
They're going to rotate
Right,
through.
they will
Yeah.
change.
Well, I don't need the names. I just wanted to make sure it's not me. I'm not the citizens.
No, on here for the Citizen Service Division, that would be with the county.
Okay.
And then with our here in town, I think that's great having on EOP 29.
29?
We have
28.
Excuse me.
29. You have the names and titles, and
Oh, I see.
assuming phone numbers won't change. But you're doing this on an annual basis.
Right,
the
that's
review,
why,
the
right,
audit
when I
of
went
it.
back for it, other than a select group, Commissioner O'Donnell and Commissioner Sweeney, everything else had changed. So we will make the changes yearly.
That's good.
But if something were to change before it's adopted again, you know, we can all handwrite it in there or, you know, make a change to the page and distribute it that way.
Okay. A couple things for our clarification. For example, if there's a crisis we're not able to be in town physically, is there somewhere in the ordinances that allows us to meet outside of town as a board? Do you follow what I mean? Like, are we obligated to have an in-town meeting? Like, are there ordinances that we have to modify to allow that sort of thing? The other is, in the event someone's incapacitated, you know, we still need a quorum. Do we have a built-in where a member could Skype in or phone in to participate in a meeting? The other is what? At the end of the 7 days, the mayor, procedurally, he's accountable to us for extending the emergency operation plan.
Right, if
Or-
the emergency
right.
operation plan would need to go beyond that 7th day, you as the board would have to vote on that.
Okay.
So I would guess if we were entering our 5th and 6th day and we don't see an end to it, that we would need to convene a meeting. And it would be at probably your town command center, which would either be here or at Vigilant Hose Company, or if necessary, and this is something that, that Ms. Shaw can reach out to John Clapp, we may need to develop some emergency ordinances because we don't,
Off-site,
as far as I
yeah.
know off the top of my head, we do not have any.
The other piece is, that's just an automatic trigger that vote has to occur.
Right.
So, the other side is, again, if we have board members who are incapacitated, can we modify quorum
Right.
to meet the need? So, for example, just say Commissioner Blanchard and I are, no.
Right.
But, the reality is the reality, so we don't want to face it, but,
Destroys it.
So we may be bringing back emergency ordinances to you here in, in the near future that we do need, those are items we do need to address.
okay. And I'm sure there are more out there, but that's the
Oh, I'm
only thing
sure there
that
are.
jumped off the page at me. So, okay, so this evening, are you looking for a vote to adopt, or are we going to modify this further, or?
Those ordinances, those things that you have brought up would be modified in
A future,
via ordinances,
okay,
not on your operations plan. So if we could vote for the operations
that's what
plan
I'm saying.
itself.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so is there a motion to accept sorry?
Just
I'm
one more
sorry.
question.
Sure.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Comment first. Very, very detailed. I like this a lot. Is this a standalone document, or does this become part of the town code book?
No, it's a standalone.
Okay. The reason I ask, and it's something I've been looking at for a while, I don't even know if we can change it. The town charter, some of the things that are written into the town charter makes me think of that. Like, this is very 2018,
Yeah.
this EOP, but
The
there
ye
are
olde
things
days.
written into the charter where, if there's an epidemic, we as a board have to ensure that the dead are buried. We have to ensure that livestock aren't running down the street, things of
Right.
that nature. So, it just made me think of that.
We
So
have
that's
had
all.
discussions about it. It would be quite a lengthy project,
Yeah.
but there are things in there that do need to be, what's wrong?
Was Commissioner Ritz not given the commissioner's lasso?
I don't think so.
Get one of those.
That you get that third term.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Nice.
Just
Not there yet. That's all I had. Okay.
I agree with you.
Okay. Any other thoughts or comments? Commissioner Buckman?
I was ready to make a motion.
Okay. All right. So, is there a motion to accept the emergency operations plan as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the emergency operation plan as presented.
Very good. Is there a second for the motion by Commissioner Buckman?
I'll second the motion.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Buckman. It has been seconded by Commissioner Blanchard. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, thank you. This is very important.
So once we take the draft stamp off and get it put together and sign it, we'll make sure you have 2 copies.
Thank you. Okay. Terrific. All right, so now we move
Yes,
forward.
ma'am.
Sorry. Now we move forward to setting the agenda for our next meeting on February 5th, 2018.
Okay. I have a couple items, several. We have, and this is through the mayor's efforts, an update on transportation by Kendall Tiffany. She is the Community Relations Manager with Frederick County.
Has ridership been good for that Tuesday?
They have too early to tell. We talked about the mayor, county executive meeting, but it's too early to tell. 6 months. This deals with that, the different types of transportation available to elderly coming up here. I thought we might get a presentation on that because they got some really neat little things going on. I'm not sure we're all aware of them. Okay.
All right, second item will be the audit presentation by Michelle Mills. Third item is ethics ordinances to update code per Maryland State Ethics Commission. In October 2017, we received a letter from the State Ethics Commission requiring all municipalities to update their code based off some legislation they passed.
We may no longer keep the cows that we get that escape down Main
Right.
Street, so, yes.
And chimney sweeps too.
Number 4 will be policy and ordinance changes for consideration regarding the use of baseball fields.
Is this because of the merger?
Wait for number 5. We're jumping ahead. Number 5, requests to use baseball fields in 2018 for consideration.
I'm sorry, request to use baseball fields?
Yes.
Okay, all
To
right.
utilize, request to utilize baseball fields in 2018 for consideration.
That's a plural, fields. Okay.
Is this for Little League?
Presentation by staff. We have several
Okay,
Several.
requests.
So cryptic.
I'm being very cryptic.
Yeah.
We're still working on it,
Dun,
so
dun,
I will have the presentation at the meeting. I have 2 administrative items. 1, filing of the Planning Commission report. And 2, a presentation of letter of appreciation to Pat Boyle.
okay. Commissioners, any agenda items here or administrative items?
I guess no.
It's a full docket, I agree.
That's a lot, yeah.
Okay, here's something I'd like to see, and this is what I want to put in front of you guys. We were all contacted by a citizen related to a paying guest issue. Ms. Henry sent the email to all of us. I believe everybody got it. And
I didn't get it.
you did not get it?
Not received this either. I don't know what you're
You
talking about.
did not see it? Okay, it was, okay, interesting. It appeared as if it was sent to Commissioners Town of Emmitsburg. Okay. So, well, related to that, there's a concern that she's expressed related to the town regulating paying guest type uses of homes, like Airbnb and what's the other one? There are a couple others. I'm trying to get the names here.
Commissioner,
Okay,
Commissioner
but my
O'Donnell.
point is, well, hold on, please. Airbnb, Verbo, and other like paying guest type things. My hope is that we could hear from town staff, either as an agenda item or administrative business, regarding what the town policy is related to these, in relationship to the email we received.
I don't think we
So-
have, we don't have one.
That item's already at the Planning Commission,
Yeah, it's on our mind.
because we don't have anything in our code that addresses it.
We're working on
So
that
it is
now.
with the Planning
Okay.
Commission.
So the discussion is related to enforcing town code then without that ordinance in place.
You
Like,
can't.
Well, that's,
well, it sounds like.
It's not
we're discuss-
allowable use, because there is nothing in the code.
well, that's kind of, but I want to hear from town staff their response related to the letter that was sent to the commissioners. Now,
You haven't seen it.
I'll see it, well, I understand that, but what I'll see to it is that it gets forwarded to it, because it was addressed, I mean, literally I have a copy here, and my assumption was it went to everybody.
He sent that out because we have it on our agenda meeting coming up?
No, I don't think so. I think they're trying to run a business, so to speak, of having paying guests, and they're not allowed to do so, and according, limited by town. So here's the letter that I received.
Mr. Commissioner, may I just ask you to
Sure.
stop? It sounds like we're presenting this now.
No,
And it should be an agenda item.
I'm answering questions, Mr. Mayor. I understand that,
I
but
think
I'm answering your
I think you're
questions.
leading him on to answer.
No, I'm
We- we-
trying to frame the item. That's what I'm trying to do.
We
I'm
got
not trying to
dangerously
take a stand
close to
on
this once before to me, and it's the open meetings thing. If you have something like that, and let's put it on the agenda and discuss it like
Well,
we
that's what I'm
talked
trying
about
to,
earlier.
Mr. Mayor,
Well, just put
that's
it on. Put it on the
precisely what I'm
agenda.
trying to do.
Put it on the agenda that you want to discuss.
I'm trying to explain, like.
We were asking
I-
questions.
I was being asked questions by the board about the agenda item. That's not uncommon. The other piece is the letter, my understanding is it went to all commissioners. I'm looking at the letterhead here. So I have a question as to why did it not get to them? Okay, so these are the things that I'm trying to address all at the same time. So what I'm trying to do is to put it in front of the group to allow them to consider if they do want it as an agenda item or as an administrative business item, but just to look at the issue.
Well, we're looking, why don't you let planning and zoning look at it first, so we can see what, if we're gonna establish any codes or anything that we need to bring back to the board first? Because we do have that as an agenda item for Monday, this Monday coming up.
So-
We've also had it in as agenda item
Okay.
in at our last meeting in October or November.
Would you anticipate bringing back a report related to this at the next meeting? Is that reasonable to,
Sure, we'll have the
like,
meeting.
timeline-wise, is that reasonable? Okay.
And we can have the town planner here, she can elaborate more on it, because we're, it's new to us too. We don't have anything on it, so that's why
Okay.
we're going through
May I
it
ask the
now.
date of the letter?
18th.
January
This
18th, I believe so.
What date? January what?
I
18.
never got that.
1/8.
And he's not the only one in Emmitsburg. There's like 20.
Okay,
She,
she in this case,
or
right, sure,
whoever
sure.
it is.
Maria Henry.
So there's more than just her, so that's why we have it on our agenda.
Sure, and I'm not trying to make it like a single-person issue, but I'm just saying there's been a question related to it, so.
It's a-
No, I didn't receive
it's
it.
a
Okay.
fact, this.
So, we're not making it an agenda item, but we will hear the report from the committee. But at the same time, I'll forward the letter that I've received. Mr. Mayor, did you receive this? Just curiously, because you were addressing it also. Okay,
I will just tell you that we've dealt with this for a considerable amount of time, and there have been numerous letters back and forth.
okay.
So there's more to
Well,
this.
And that's kind of my hope, is to hear the town staff
Have
position
this?
in an open forum.
None of us have. this.
So, that's kind of where I'm coming from.
All right, Glenn.
Okay, open forum. Okay, so, all right, so, Mr. Sweeney, appreciate it.
Is this an email that was sent to you?
Glenn Butcher.
And everybody, I did
We
from,
didn't, I didn't.
okay.
It was only sent to you. I guess because you were president of the
But
board.
if you,
the
if
address.
you look at the addresses at the top, it says it was sent to everybody.
It does, and it's just very odd, because I know we're not allowed to have our phones, but I went ahead and did it anyway. And I looked, I don't have that email from the 18th.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
never got it. I would have remembered
I don't
that.
have it either.
Okay, so I will send this to staff, and we'll go from there. And I'm looking, all the addresses seem to be appropriate.
Yeah, my address is right, but I never got it.
That's a curiosity. Nevertheless, there we go.
If this is
Okay.
if this is for the our meeting that we're coming up, you might want to just give it
I will.
and have it passed on, and we can that way all the members at our next planning meeting could have a copy of the letter.
Perfect. Okay, so therefore, the agenda items as presented for the next meeting on, February 5, correct? 5th? And the administrative business items, are we accepting those? Anybody have any concerns with those items?
No.
No. So is there a motion to accept is there a motion to accept these meeting agenda items and administrative business agenda items?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda items for the February 5th, 2018 meeting as presented.
Very good. Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second it.
Bless you.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Ritz. It's been seconded by Commissioner Sweeney. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Very good. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Any other business related to the town at this time? Hearing, yes, go
I do
ahead.
have one question.
Sure.
And I thought about it earlier, but I didn't bring it up. The white building near the end of town that seemed empty for some time, I think it was a laundry service back in the early on time of Emmitsburg.
Where?
You know what I'm talking about, the white building. It has tents out there, and
Well,
it's a roundish building. It's right by the,
On Main Street or on South Seton?
on
or
Main Street by, it's on the corner,
Tony Town?
right going into Brookfield. It's on the right on Main Street.
Oh, that building, yeah, okay.
That building.
Which
It
one
seems
is it?
really active and
Used to be
full
the
of
old
people
gas
now, and it
station.
was sitting empty, seemed empty for quite so many years, and I was wondering if it's an apartment house now.
That's it, out here.
It's corner track road. Yeah, going,
Oh,
is
Track
that what you're
Road.
talking
Oh,
about?
okay.
Tract Road and
Well, that was a
140?
gas. That was
Yeah,
a gas
that-
station.
That
back
used to be the Mason-Dixon
gas
Oil
station.
Company.
Sunoco gas
Now
station.
full of people.
It has
Apartments.
been apartments
Apartments
Oh, it
for,
has?
like, even when it was a gas station, there were apartments above.
Okay, but it seems
So-
so dormant for so long now. It's real bustling.
Okay. Okay.
I was just wondering.
Sure.
You might want to keep an eye on that, the building
Yeah.
Okay.
out there because
Any
there's
other,
drug trafficking. I know that it's been in the past. If there's a lot of people there now,
Do we
there'll be
sign
drug
something
trafficking
tonight?
there.
Are we signing something tonight, Tim and I? Okay. Tim,
Uh,
you and I have to sign something. Go ahead.
sure. Are there any other items for the meeting before we close the meeting?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? None. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Good night. Thank you.